Welcome back. Here we are, Sunday night, June 1st, 2025. And hey, the sky's the limit. We're going to do better around here this month. No more power outages. um, so yeah, I finally. It took until just before the start of the stream to finally see the revenue update, but YouTube did see fit to make the update and disappoint me. But here we are. We're moving on. We're moving forward, and uh, June will be a better month. We're still. This year has just been a crapshoot right along. We're behind in revenue compared to last year. We're behind on new subscribers compared to last year, and yeah, it's kind of making me wonder, but we're still here, having a good time. Hopefully, I'm having a good time. I question whether you're all having a good time or you're just gluttons for punishment collectively. So I spent a good chunk of today actually working on a video for the new channel, and I shared the video with somebody and um, bounced some ideas back and forth based on a few factors. And so while I had initially hoped to launch the second channel today, uh, I ultimately decided to push it off and launch on July 1st. The reasoning for this comes down to really wanting to make a clear sort of differentiation between this channel and the studio I'm using here and the other channel. So the other channel is going to get shot downstairs at this point. So um yeah, that's sort of where I'm at with it. So what my push is right now is to figure out lighting and figure out what I want to do as far as a backdrop of some variety, because the office space downstairs has um, well, the whole downstairs is paneled. The last real remodel was in the 60s or 70s. And so the office space itself has like green paneling. And I'm not so keen on that for a backdrop, but uh I could probably do some sort of a poster that I could print off at the library, and have the logo on a large poster type thing hanging up behind me for that set downstairs. So still trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to do that. I've got some furniture I need to move around, and then work logistics on the lighting situation. But I think that's going to be the plan going forward. So Let's see who is joining us tonight. Grish is here first, of course.
Joe Cephas.
No, it's not AI music. Let's see. More of a Coke than Pepsi guy myself. Well, growing up, one of my best friend's dads worked for Pepsi, so I've always been sort of impartial to Pepsi products. But Pepsi and Coke products alike are just too damn expensive these days. So, Diet Pepsi. See, now here's the rub. so if I'm drinking full octane pop, I will drink Pepsi over Coke. If I'm drinking the diet version, I'll drink Diet Coke over Diet Pepsi. But, aspartame, I don't really have much use for. So, no, like I just finished saying, the new channel will launch on July 1st. Nerd 45, welcome in. Coke and Pepsi used to taste so good. Now it tastes like corn syrup. Yeah, pretty much. I was always a Mountain Dew guy over either cola. But yeah. All right. So, anyway, so yeah, I spent some time working on a video for the other channel. I ultimately ended up hitting the pause button on that. So next month on the 1st, I will be launching that. I've got the idea for the first couple of videos sort of hashed out a bit. And so it's just going to be, getting the lighting squared away and re-recording the idea downstairs. So the one thing I'm not so sure on, and which might ultimately lead to doing something different in this room. But if I record the other channel downstairs, then I'm not going to have the Shure SM7B. I'm not going to have the Rodecaster. I'm not going to have the Sony camera. It'll be a USB camera. It'll be the OBSBot or USB microphone. It'll be the OBSBot for the camera. And likely I'll end up recording through OBS, capture the initial content through OBS. Then I'll save it off to the NAS, bring it up here, come up here and edit it in Camtasia. So it'll be interesting. Does make me think about whether I want to pick up another Mac Mini to have downstairs, which I wasn't planning on getting another Mac Mini until like maybe this time next year. But there may be some ways I can work logistics on that, right? So, but it'll be at least a couple of months. It'll probably be end of summer at the earliest before I could score another Mac Mini. Um, just because I've got some things I need to pay off before I can make another purchase like that. So, other than working on the videos for the other channel, today I spent, being the first of the month, I typically work on backups, I typically work on updates, and I did spend a chunk of time working on that stuff today. So, I try to have stuff on sort of autopilot during the month, but then I make a special effort on the first of each month to double check some things, make sure updates are run, spend some time looking at the backups that I'm doing during the previous month, and spot check for restoration of things if need be. So that's that. Um, yeah. Uh, the original plan was to launch it today. The new plan is to put it off to next month. Um, hey Jay, welcome in. Um, that crossed my mind. Speaking of Tony, welcome in. Um, wish I had time to do more tech stuff. At home, I spent almost 2.5 hours in a hot attic. Yeah, um, I, I guess it's better you did it today than in the middle of July or August. Um, it would be worse. Um, really want an upgrade, just can't justify it. My 3800X from 2019 still runs perfect. CPUs have gotten so good. Yeah. Um, and my goal with setting up downstairs would be to be able to use Camtasia for recording. And yeah, I'm still not sure how I want to do that part of it, but um, that can be changed over time. So it's one of those things I'll have to wrestle with for a minute. So not the end of the world. um. All right. So I think I mentioned, I don't know if it was last night's stream or one of the earlier streams earlier this past week. There's been some interesting news out of Apple the last week or so. And excuse me, made tacos for dinner. So, um, so for the first time, Apple is going to have the same version number across all their OS products. So the new version coming out for each of them is going to be version 26. Sort of doing the car thing where the 26 model year will come out in 2025, which is an interesting concept, and it makes me wonder what the people in Redmond are going to do as a response. Um, are they going to put out Windows 30 now or something just to jump ahead? I don't know. I'm interested to see, because usually when there's a shakeup, that Apple instigates, right? Because they have been known to set the ball rolling on some of this stuff. Getting rid of floppy disks, getting rid of CD drives. It's got a track record of setting these um, moving pieces in motion, right? So it makes me wonder, what's next for Redmond. Are they going to do something to uh, sort of retaliate in some way? Um, I haven't heard of anything yet, but you know, I don't. I honestly don't follow news on that side of things as much as maybe I should. But um, I sort of get my fill of working with Windows when I'm at work, and when I get home from work, I don't want to think about Windows. Um, what the heck we got here? No, command line tools for Xcode. No, I'm not going to update that right now. Um, so, anyways, um, so there's not a limit that I know of, since it's a subscription software, which I'm not thrilled about. That's why I didn't go with Camtasia in 2021. Um, I can run it on multiple computers. I've just got to sign in to, whichever one I'm using. I think the limit is how many computers can you run it simultaneously on. And that I'm not sure if there's a hard limit, but I obviously can only use one computer at a time. And as long as I quit out of it on my Mac before I go to work or before I move downstairs, then I'm okay, right? So, um, anyway, so they do have a business version of it. I'm not sure if that equates to the middle tier or the upper tier on the personally licensed one, the subscription one, or if that's some specific subset on its own. My understanding with that business tier is that you can, with that, you get a license key, and it is tied to just a single install. Whereas the subscription is a little more flexible, I guess, in some ways. So, anyway, 21 minutes in, and it looks like 8 people watching. So, thank you all for being here. I guess I can put this guy up for a minute. I gotta figure out if I want to use the same graphic on the other channel or if I want to do something different. So, one of the other things I've considered for the other channel is um, using my cell phone camera and shooting some of the footage outside, um, just to give me an excuse to go outside while the weather's decent. And again, it's hitting that different scenery idea. And in the short term, that might be the solution. Especially since I've been up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, I can go out on the deck and record at 6:30 or whatever, capture the footage, drop it in the editor, and clean it up a little bit and get something released relatively quickly. Um, that's an option. That's an option. Um, so yeah, there's multiple things I'm looking at. It's just working out some of the logistics. I know the USB wireless mics are not necessarily going to give me the sound quality I get from this SM7B, um, but I think they'll be passable enough that they'd be usable. And the whole idea is that this other channel is supposed to be something different, right? So, well, we'll see on that. um, so, um, that's an interesting topic in and of itself. So, um, part of it is going to be sort of talking about um, nuggets of wisdom I've picked up over the years. Um, mistakes I've made and the lessons I've learned from them, type of things. Um, part of it's going to talk about coming up as a quote unquote computer enthusiast, before the term home lab was a thing. Um, because there's looking back, there's a lot of overlap between the enthusiast community that I got a glimpse of in the late 80s and into the early to mid 90s, and what the home lab scene is today, right? So that's going to play a role. Um, the the depth of talking about tech on the other channel is going to be very different than this channel. So where I go into, installing things and things of that nature on this channel, on the other channel, I will, potentially be talking about things at a higher level, such as um, addressing the e-waste issue by using or reusing a computer for some sort of appliance, right? Turning it into a media server, turning it into something that can be reused and have um, an extended lifespan versus getting recycled, right? So it's something I'm still grappling with a little bit, but I've got sort of an idea matrix that sort of shifts me one way or the other between the channel on a given topic, right? Outdoor for the win. Okay, well, um, yeah. I mean, I can always drag a chair out on my deck and set up um, set up the cell phone camera and do things out there. That's fairly easy to do, and will um, buy me some time before I have to have the studio set up downstairs. For the fall, right? When the weather turns again, or when it gets so hot that I can't stand to be outside, and I have to be in here just to keep from sweating to death. Um, but um, yeah, I spent a good chunk of time this weekend, trying to catch up on some things and further refine my um, some of the skill set for Camtasia. Um, so for instance, I can maybe try to um, show something here that I worked on. Um, so um, get this loaded up. So this was one of the cool things that um, I did, and I did it partially as a means to better learn one of the functions of the software. But you can see on my timeline here, I've got the graphic for the other channel, and watch what happens to the practical IT logo there. This will sort of um, get filled in by the like-minded logo. And I thought that was kind of cool the way you're able to take a graphic and skew it to fit um, something like that. So it's just an interesting feature that I was happy to be able to find a use for, right? And that's part of the reason I did that. But um, anyway, that was just something I worked on today, and yeah, I thought that was kind of a fun exercise being able to do that. So anyway, um, that's that, I suppose. Um, I still have no railings on the bottom set of stairs. Um, so no, it's not finished. The upper deck is mostly finished. I've got one board right outside the door to the apartment that they didn't bother putting in screws like in the foot or foot and a half closest to the door to the apartment. So every time I step on it, it sort of bobs up and down because there's no screws holding the end of the board down. So yeah, it's not done. Yeah, in large part, it's going to be a blog style channel, um, which is sort of what I was anticipating with this, just because I want it to be something different. Uh, it's one of those things too that I think I'm going to be able to draw upon the experiences from the library. I've had this conversation with more than one person that's come into the library this week, and again the generally the people that I deal with for tech stuff tend to be in this category I'll just call older than me. And they are the type, now context is important here, right? Um, they're sort of the type, given the part of Michigan that I'm located in. The generation older than me, so the baby boomers, tended not to get involved with computers. A lot of them went to work for Generous Motors, um, and other factories that were operating in the area for much of my life, until the last 20 odd years. Um, so I guess we should say the first half of my life, anyways. And then things started closing down, right? Um, so it's one of those things where, sure, you know, maybe they should have seen the writing on the wall and they should have got on the bandwagon sooner and made some attempts to learn computers. But at the same time, the way that various entities, including governmental entities, post COVID have pushed everything to only being done over the phone or on a website, does not bode well for this group of people. And it's one of those things, they're just having a hard time coping. I've had this conversation with my father, and he's 79. He did go to college, but they didn't have computers in the 60s when he was at college, nor would it have helped him that much to learn the computers that were available at that point in time. Uh, for the line of work he was in, anyways. So it's like, what steps are being taken to make things easier for this demographic of people versus the cutting of jobs and digitizing of jobs and information in order for an entity to save money, right? Send the tech support jobs to Bangalore, send the 800 number to Bangalore, and the fact of the matter is, people who have never encountered individuals with a thick Indian accent are going to have a hard time understanding individuals with a thick Indian accent, especially when they talk fast, and many of them do. So, it's I view it as a balancing act, but you, you know, I think a lot of companies and governmental units, agencies, or whatever you want to call them, um, and this is regardless of political party, that, you know, whatever. Um, Cuts have been made under both parties. We'll go there. Um, but it's difficult for this group of people to admit that they aren't as self-sufficient as they've been the majority of their life, right? Um, and they've got to suck up a bunch of pride and actually ask somebody younger than them for help, which I'm sure is an uncomfortable thing for them, right? Um, and maybe it comes down to a difference in the way the generations view the world. Maybe it's just a matter of where and how they were raised. Um, I don't have the answers to all these questions, but I know my personal approach to things has been, if I'm not learning something new every day, I feel like I've failed somehow. And when I stop learning, I might as well be putting a box in the ground, right? Because there's so much knowledge out there, and things are changing so rapidly these days. You, you know, I just I don't understand um, why and how and what justification is being made for some of these changes, when this older than me demographic is still sizable and they still vote, right? So it's just one of those things, I guess. So, all right, soapbox over. Um, I was thinking blog style too, more of here are my thoughts, less. I guess I'll make a fog video because the algorithm says so. Yeah, pretty much. um, and the other channel, I'm taking an IDGAF if I ever get monetized over there. Um, Approach. Um, and I don't even know if all the videos will end up having the comment section turned on because IDGAF. One end of the board comes up. That's like Three Stooges stuff. Well, more than half of it is nailed down. It only comes up just enough for you to notice it when you stand on it. Um, yeah, I was kind of surprised he knew the Three Stooges myself. It wasn't on prime time or anything. I watched every Three Stooges episode. Now, if you really want to stump Josephus, and then Tony will talk about the Little Rascals and some of that stuff, that predates both of us. I saw many of the Three Stooges episodes, but I've watched every episode of The Honeymooners multiple times. Uh, I've seen some episodes of The Honeymooners. Um, that was Ralph Cranston. I don't know, Ralph something, and the other one I forget what his name is, but yeah. Can't imagine that computing a funeral service would be of use, especially computing tech from the 60s. Yeah, pretty much. Um, I mean, just like everything else, um, yes, Cramden, that's what I was trying to enunciate. Um, I was close. I was close, considering that show was canceled before I was born. I was close. Um, yeah, I mean, like everything else, if he were in a big city, then a funeral home might have had the funds to have their records computerized in the 60s or 70s, or by the early 80s. um Unfortunately, his businesses were both in small towns, villages. Actually, they're not even towns per se, but um and in both cases there are a lot of farmers around, and so you know generally the farmers that um he dealt with over the years, many of them came up in a family of farmers and never got past a high school education. Some of them didn't get past a middle school education, but thankfully things have changed in that regard these days. But holy crow, it's just to think of the progress that's been made within my lifetime as far as technology, uh is nothing short of amazing. So um yeah. um did you go to a town that was a reproduction of that show? I mm, yeah, if dead, then bury. Else cremate. Oh my. Um Better add a weight in there, Chris. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that was the Andy Griffith show. I remember you talking about that. Oh yeah, I need to add a sleep of 7 days. Yeah, right. Something like that. So, I don't know. I don't really have anything to demonstrate tonight. I've been racking my brain on what to set up for our demo, and I just came up with nothing. um, so anyway, hopefully June will be a better month for the channel, and we'll see what happens. It certainly can't be any worse than May. I know those are famous last words, right? Um, let's see. There's nothing else in Fresh RSS. I already had that cleaned out. Um, So let's see if we can reload that. Maybe. So I guess there we go. So yeah, I still don't know how they're exactly Social Blade is getting their data for this, but um, I've always sort of found the future projections to be the more interesting piece over here. Did it crash? Is it not responding? Okay. There it goes, maybe. No, I think I killed Firefox. All right, well, I'll just bring myself back on. So I'll do a force quit and we'll bring it back. Let's see. Maybe it's going to cooperate this time. All right, that's what I wanted. All right, so make that a little bit bigger. So yeah, we are here. 7,220 subscribers, which actually is accurate. So 7,500 should be in August. Around the 20th or the 21st, somewhere in there. So we'll see if we can pull this off, right? And hit 1.5 million views. That's almost 1.8. So we are actually closer to 1.5 than I think. We're over 1.5 already. Anyway, these are all more of a guideline than anything, which again, I don't know how useful it is, but it's sometimes entertaining to look at, right? On the view stats site, which this is a tool that I like a little better. First, because it has fewer advertisements. But this comes from the team that works for Mr. Beast. And so this is saying, let's see. October. So August 2nd, I'll be at 1.655 million views. And it's projecting 2 million around somewhere between September and October of next year. Fine, I'll take it. Subscribers, eh. Um, August will be at 7464, and October will be over 7,500, and then by December of next year will be over 9,000, and then it looks like things sort of pick up on the curve, which doesn't hurt my feelings. So 2027, August, I'll be over 10,000 subscribers, according to these projections, which is exactly what they are, projections, and they don't mean much more than that. um, so yeah, it's interesting, of course, because this one. Really? Every time there's a browser update or an OS update. Always gives me shit. Oh, but passkeys are so much better. Fine. Stupid. Yes, it's me. Who else do you think it would be? All right. So, yeah. I had hope over a few days there that I might pull off the month on a high note. Okay. All right. Well, good for them using Windows 95. So, anyway, I guess I'll come back over here. We probably won't go much past an hour or an hour and 15. Um, Live early week news. Well, if there were any stories in Fresh RSS right now to talk about, I would. Um, yeah. Thoughts on pfSense 2.8? Just switched to MikroTik. So I heard it was released. I saw Tom Lawrence published a video on it. Beyond that, I haven't looked at it because I've been running OpenSense, and yeah, I'm actually going to be hopefully this month um, making the switch over to my Grandstream gear, um, for a more permanent basis. And um, yeah, I'm not really planning on looking backwards. I mean, I'll keep the PF Sense or the Open Sense box rather for testing and lab stuff. I kind of want to flip flop it from what things are right now, which is the combination of Open Sense and Unify for wireless. I want the um, Grandstream, the GCC, the wireless, and I'll get the telephones finished, uh, the integration finished using the PBX module, and then I'll have the coveted single pane of glass solution for that. Um, all the while the cable companies keep trying to sell new customers on Eero, and it's like, F that. In high school, the tech team was asked to volunteer at the senior citizen center and teach computers. Yeah, that's a great idea. I've had one thing that I've wanted to do that I can't get the interest in the neighboring town where the library is. But one thing I think would be great is to pair up a high schooler with a senior and let the high schoolers help the seniors with computers. Um, because undoubtedly whenever I leave the building at the library to go do something like this, either nobody shows up or all hell breaks loose at the library. So since I'm a department of one and nobody seems to want to get cross trained on anything I do, um, I'm always on the look for other solutions. Yeah, I mean, relatively quickly, I guess. I think if I looked at the larger picture, the channel has been gaining momentum to some extent. I mean, if we go, um, if we go over here and we look at, um, look at subscribers from, okay, so I did my dates wrong apparently. Um, so let's fix this and then I'll bring it on the screen. All right. So this is subscribers from April 1st, 2022 until May 31st of this year. So there have been a couple of areas where the graph has gone up and then it's sort of, flatlined on the number of subscribers being added, and then it goes up and it goes back down and sort of plateaus again. And somewhere around January of this year, it was sort of at a high, and then we're sort of coming down again right now, but with a few, good sized jumps in there, I guess, more recently. But it's it looks like one of those slow and steady wins the race type of graphs to me. But maybe I'm misinterpreting it. um I don't know. I don't know. I do think it's interesting that about the same number of people are watching shorts and lives. Um, and if I'm to believe this graph here, then I should be doubling down on making long form videos and less of everything else. But, and still more than 70% of my audience watches on a computer. So I don't know. I'm trying to be I'm trying to see the big picture, the bigger picture, and the result of the long game. I mean, if we look at the past 90 days, it still doesn't look that much different. Um, the last year looks a little bit more encouraging, but it's, I mean, still, unless I'm just like missing something fundamental about interpreting the data in analytics, YouTube analytics. I don't know. If you want my opinion, I think if you move midweek news to another channel, your posted content might do better and you catch the algorithm easier. I have thought of that. Um, I have thought about that quite a bit, actually. Because if we look at um, I guess it doesn't let you sort it that way. Anyways, if you look at my midweek news videos, generally speaking, so this is the most recent one, and it's got 69 views. 61, 85, 89, 65, 112, and that's sort of an outlier. 47, 128, again, sort of an outlier. 113 is an outlier. Of course, that was from March. 123, March. And then you've got the previous one that only had 53 views. I've thought about doing a number of things different. And one would be moving midweek news to a separate channel. One would be doing midweek news, but doing it bi-weekly. One would be doing it as a monthly recap. Um, you know, I mean, this one's truly an outlier. 224 views. That's rare. Well, that one's got 240, so maybe it's not quite as rare, but um, I've been thinking about that a lot recently, and um, I'm honestly open to suggestions because I have this gut feeling that midweek news is hurting the channel as a whole. Um, but I also get mixed information that, some of the quote unquote experts say, no, keep everything on one channel, regardless of how diverse the topics might be. But um, I don't know. When I look at the numbers for the midweek news episodes, I can't help but think that maybe they would do better on a separate channel and be able to somehow point uh the videos back to this main channel for you know more in-depth look at some of the topics of the midweek news videos. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. Um um and if I move it, when do I move it? We're starting June, but do I move it August 1st? Do I move it July 1st? Um, because I would want to make an announcement multiple weeks in a row before, you know, pushing it over to the other channel, right? And then it becomes one of those situations. Do I move all the back episodes to the other channel? Do I keep them on this channel, make them unlisted, and then repost them on the other channel? I got questions. I got questions, which is part of the reason I haven't done it. Um, but yes, it's something I have uh, thought about and drawn up plans multiple times for ways it could be done, and ultimately ended up scrapping the plans. I also know that if I um, take all the old midweek news episodes and move them, then I'm going to lose the views for those if I take them off this channel. Um, and so it's just what's the best way to do it? I mean, what the last episode? Um, oh, I guess I need to go back to today's date. Um, so the last episode that posted was 129. For last week was 129. So this week will be 130. Do I plan for starting with episode 150, move it to a separate channel, and then from 140 to 149, I can start saying, subscribe to the midweek news channel, and this show will be continuing over there, type of thing. Um, I'm open to suggestions, guys. Underperforming content drags the rest down. Yes. Some creators make a second channel when it deviates or they know it won't be as popular. Right, right. It's taken about 3 years since passkeys were introduced, and they still kind of suck. Yes. It's kind of a pain, and I was kind of just happy with my password manager and not screwing with passkeys. But my network has been flawless since migrating to a full Grandstream stack. Good to know. The testing I've done has been great. And it makes me want to do the cutover, but I've got to go back and look at everything that I've got a static IP address assigned to and have a plan for migrating everything over, right? And the easiest way would just be to put the Grandstream stuff on the same subnet and move devices a few at a time over to the new network and have it not connected to the internet, but until everything is switched over, and then take the OpenSense box out. But I just realized today that you can't change the certificate for the admin webpage on the GCC 6010. Interesting. Yeah, seniors helping seniors. I mean, even juniors in high school, because some of them have the foresight to do some volunteer work to get brownie points towards a scholarship or whatever. Yes, that is absolutely a point of contention. Alonzo, welcome. Michael, bro, what's up? We need to go have a beer sometime. We need to go have a beer sometime. I think you had a graph up for new versus returning no subscriber growth on YouTube Analytics or one of the other sites I showed. It'd probably be under audience. Yeah, new viewers versus returning. That's just the audience tab. And yeah, I mean, but this has been the story of the channel. New viewers always have. I mean, as long as I've been tracking this, they have always far outnumbered the returning. And that I attribute a lot to so much of my traffic comes from search versus people coming for me. They come to scratch an itch and answer a question about a problem, and then they bugger off. Steph says, leave it alone. um, so, well, I'm glad to have both of you here tonight, Michael and Steph, both. Um, yeah, you know, it's been too long, man. We gotta get together sometime. When I come across a cool video, I go check out the channel, the video section. If it's just other unrelated stuff, I get disinterested. Yeah, I'm much the same way. Um, but there are channels, um, you know, and I've done it on Jay's channel, I've done it on Tony's channel, and when Joe had Tech for Fun up, I did it on that channel as well. But if I liked one video, I would go and binge watch other videos to catch up with much of their other content. You know, I mean, there does come a point where, you know, older content is no longer relevant. You know, much the way on my channel, um, if I have a video covering, and I know I've got some still lingering on the channel, Ubuntu 16.04, it's not relevant in 2025 unless you're seeking a nostalgia fix, right? Um, it's unsupported. It's just not relevant. Um, Jacob, welcome in. We are actually up to 10 people watching right now. So I would be remiss if I did not put this back up. Please, everybody, like the video. No, I haven't been tracking how many likes there are yet, but this is about as close to having little likes running around as I'm ever going to get, is collecting likes on my videos. So, har. Um, I've deployed 5 Grandstream networks for customers since doing my own migration. No complaints to date. That's awesome. I think you can click on subscribers and see that over time would be interesting too. Subscribers. So, I actually lost a subscriber the other day. -1 growth. So I mean, that's subscribers over 90, 290 subscribers over 90 days, which is low. Usually I'm at least 100 a month. And last year, that isn't bad. 1,300 over the last year. So that's averaging more than 100 a month. I mean, if we do a lifetime, if it'll pull that up. Yeah. So that's where my Gmail account was created. Well, no, this is where my Gmail account was created in 06. And then I went too long without adding subscribers. So it was really in 2017 that things started to do anything. But Anyway. It does sadden me a bit that most of my viewer base is younger than I am. But anyway. Right. The returning are you loyal people, and I'm I am appreciative. Um, if it weren't for the loyals that keep coming back, um, I would have given up on this years ago. But YouTube is kind of what kept me going during COVID, and so um, I figure I'm in this for the long haul at this point. And that would be in Grand Stream, or the channel. um, context is everything, right? Um, Atomic Shrimp is a good channel example where it's random content, but he does really good. Interesting. I don't think I've actually heard of that channel. Um, hmm. 1.03 million subscribers. Wow. I don't know as though I've got enough life left in me to get to 1.03 million subscribers, but it's not going to stop me from trying. Um, so for those who aren't in the know, Michael that popped in a little bit ago, um, he and I talk about each other as being brothers. He and I were born in the same hospital, delivered by the same doctor, and our fathers were in the waiting room at the same time. So we go back a ways. Um, so we ended up going to the same middle and high school, and yeah, we've just been meandering in and out of each other's lives since day one, I guess you could say. For what it's worth, his family once upon a time owned a flower shop, and my father would get flowers from that flower shop for funeral services. And I have memories of going to that flower shop as a kid to pick stuff up for a funeral or some sort of event. But those are the days. Um, um, there's a market for helping seniors. Keeps me busy between networking gigs. Yeah, and it's funny. Um, because during COVID, I started doing business pitch competitions. I haven't done one in a while, and I should probably get back into doing it. But my the last pitch that I did, or the last um, pitch that I did, the last several times I ran one of these, or participated in one of these, I should say, was basically the idea of, you know, keep the peace in your family, bring in an outsider to help your parents with their tech woes so you can enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? Um, And really that's what it boiled down to. I know how frustrating it can be sometimes dealing with my own father doing tech stuff, but yet people think that I have some sort of godlike patience when I'm dealing with other people. And that's only because I've lived through the frustration of dealing with my own parents over the years. Um, so I'm very aware of the need in that area. Um, it's just getting other people my age and within say 10 years younger than me, um, getting to the point where they want to bring in somebody else. And I don't know. I'm probably in the wrong area of the state to make a business like that work. Um, I I don't know. I just the seniors around here always um have the collectively they have the mentality about being so tight on money, and that's why I pitched the idea as help your parents out, because then you're pushing the cost to the kids of the seniors, and it becomes less of an issue. The seniors are getting the help they need, and the security overviews, and or having somebody look at stuff for them, and the adult children of these people are having some peace of mind, and not having to do tech support on holidays. But the although I've had several people tell me it was a great idea, and I've been pitching this for 3 years, um, it's just not really gone anywhere. And I've seen a pattern over the years, and it's in many ways it's lessened now, but the pattern, and I was even noticing this growing up, but the pattern being that outside your large cities in Michigan, the Detroit, Grand Rapids, Traverse City, even Kalamazoo to some extent. So outside your big cities, the adoption rate of new technology, the proliferation of new music, the um, just different things over the years I've seen this play out. It's like your bell curve, and the small towns are the laggards, on the left side of the curve, right? So it's an interesting place to be. And by the time the millennials are dealing with senior parents, and certainly by Gen Z dealing with senior parents, it's going to be less of an issue unless there's some cognitive decline happening. And then it's something different. They can be so miserable though, Tony. Some of them can be. I love watching his scam baiting videos. Interesting. I'll have to take a look. I get an occasional call from my parents during work hours to go remote into their machine and resolve an issue. Can it not wait? I'm not done with work. Yeah, I've had that conversation with my dad. But um, my observation, and I'm sure this isn't true in all cases, but my observation is when you had a parent that ran a business for their whole career, um, they never lose that sense of uh, wanting to be the center of attention. They still think even after their child is an adult and in the working world that um, when they say jump, the kid should say how high. And um, it's definitely been something where there have been days that I've left my phone on silent at work because I couldn't be bothered. And it's like the only way I'm going to force people to wait is if I don't answer the calls. And the only way I'm going to not answer the calls for family members is if my phone's on silent and I don't hear the calls, right? But yeah, it's an issue. It's an issue. Definitely takes a lot of patience. Also, understanding this, getting frustrated with them, gets you nowhere. Yes, absolutely. I very much in my work at the library, I try to take the kill them with kindness approach. Um, because we don't have a kitchenette and I can't serve them hamburgers. Um, sorry, I couldn't help it. Uh, um, but um, yeah, there have been a handful of people that have come in that I've tried to help, and when I sense myself getting frustrated, I find a way to exit the situation for 5 minutes, take a few deep breaths, and wish I had whiskey in my desk at work. And then I go back out and I try to take a different approach with it. Um, and dealing with an entitled public that don't think that you're doing any other meaningful work is or can be a source of frustration as well. I mean, the perfect area, all the Northeast transplants moving south on retirement. Yeah. Yeah. Not a single person over 70 knows their iCloud password. No one. Well, half the people that come into the library, more than half the people that come into the library don't know their Gmail password either. So I don't know how many times I've had to tell somebody, I don't know your password. If you don't know it, you're going to have to reset it. You would be competing with Geek Squad, kind of a hard market. Only Geek Squad charges rates that I can undercut and still make more than what I'm making at the library. Hey, David, welcome in. What exactly is a pitch competition? Where was it? Was there funding? So, the pitch competition that I generally participate in. So, what it is exactly what it sounds like. You pitch a business idea. Have you seen Shark Tank? It's like that, but scaled down to the local level. Um, So the most recent ones, the last few years I've done were online through the community center that I do work for in Lansing here, close to me. And yes, there's funding available. These are considered micro pitch competitions. But the idea behind the one I participate in is you've got 99 seconds to make a pitch to be in the running to win $99. Now, the competition is broadcast on YouTube, and so if I were to somehow rally everybody that comes to my live streams to go to the pitch competition, I could win $99. But I just half the year, since I work Saturdays and they've moved their pitch competitions to Saturdays, half the year I'm not really available because Labor Day to Memorial Day, the library is open on Saturdays, and I'm on rotation for working Saturdays for that. And then during the summer, people are traveling and doing whatnot, and so the chances of everybody being available at 2 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday, not great. So I've never really bothered asking people to come to that because it's just a logistics issue and, not really worth it. Yeah. So here's something that even the 17-year-olds don't understand. We've got an online printing system at the library. So you attach a file to an email. Now I'll repeat that. You attach a file to an email and you send it to a specified email address and it goes to the printer. It sends you back a code. You bring the code in and we'll print your document. Here's the problem. So many people have their crap stored in iCloud by default. They don't understand that if you share a document in iCloud to the address that goes to the printer, it's going to send a link to the printer and the printer is going to print nothing. I have 17-year-olds come in that swear up and down that it's not stored on iCloud, and it's actually on their freaking iPhone, and it doesn't come through, and they don't get their crap printed because they don't understand the difference. Okay, rant over. Yeah, how to download their bank app. Yeah, pretty much. Um, oh boy. Yeah, that sounds about right, Alonzo. My dad's just turned 79 and he does the same thing if he didn't have his stupid little book. I've even got Bitwarden installed on his computer. I've gone over how to use it with him multiple times and nope, doesn't work. Doesn't work. I'm not kidding. If you're at the Apple store, the Genius Bar is stuffed full of old people, and Apple cannot help them because they cannot log into their iCloud. Right. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you need the Apple password to download an app. You don't have to have iCloud enabled, Joe. I don't use an iPhone, and I know that. um, have you never seen Shark Tank before? The other half of the old people at the Genius Bar are the ones that pull out a notebook that has a password written down. Yeah. And then it's a coin toss whether they can actually read their own handwriting. It depends on what level, Grish. It depends on what level. Someone once pitched a pitching competition. Oh boy. Have a good one, Tony. My dad's secret encryption for password is splitting up the password between two pages. I mean, there's a way you could do a book and have it be okay. I mean, potentially. I mean, you just have a book reference another book, right? Um, Page 42, paragraph 6, word 15, and that's your password. Um, that way, at least people have to go do their homework before they can figure it out. I've seen Shark Tank, been going online for 99 bucks. Oh, but going online for 99 bucks, never heard of that. It's a local thing. That's why you've never heard of it. Apple ID, I guess, is a more accurate description of what I mean. Right. Even if you don't sync your iCloud, I think there's still it's still there once you log in with your ID. Right. It's all tied together. But the problem is what Apple's doing with the new iPhones is enabling iCloud as the default save location for iPhones. And if people don't know that it's doing this, then they'll have all their crap stuffed into iCloud and nothing on their phones. And even those people that bothered to pay the extra for, the 128 gig or 256 gig premium iPhone whiz bang model, you know, it's ludicrous that they're actually doing this, but hey, it's I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. My dad knows where something is on an app over app page notebook. No index, no control F. He might as well just memorize the password. Yeah, no kidding. The problem is that nobody's going to remember, 30 character passwords for 100 different websites. Um, I certainly wouldn't be able to do it without Bitwarden. Um, you know, LastPass was where I got my start, but after they had their issues, I jumped ship off that. Um, and I haven't looked back. So, all right, we are at an hour and 48 minutes. An hour and 48 minutes. I thought we were going to do a short one tonight, and I was going to end it at the hour mark, but Well, um, oh yeah. uh, that makes more sense. Oh my. Anyway, um, I can't say as though I've got much more to rant about tonight. Oh yeah, I had the original Zip 100 in a SCSI model, and then I got a USB Zip 250 a few years later. So yes, um I know zip disks. And then there was what, the Bernoulli box that was um pre zip disk, and there was SideQuest, I believe it was. And then iOmega also had the Jazz drive, which was like I think that was a 1 gigabyte unit that was similar to a zip disk, but not the same form factor. Um, I never had the click of death using the zip disk. Guess I was lucky. I never had laser disc, no. We had the Selectavision RCA video disc, or CED, um, capacitive capacitive electronic disc. It was the last video format that was actually invented in the US. How's that for trivia? LS120s as well. Yep. I may still have a machine that has a LS120 in it. Yep. Playing around with some laser discs. They are huge. Yeah. And you had to flip them over halfway through the movie. I never had one, but I knew that about them. All right. Any other questions, comments? Do we have a consensus on whether I should keep midweek news here or move it to another channel? I still don't have like a definitive answer for that question. So, oh my gosh, be kind, rewind. I remember having to put those stickers on the videotapes, and oh, here's one, explaining to people that they can't leave a videotape in their car with the windows rolled up on an 80-degree day, or it's going to melt the damn tape. Let me see. I have to go into the back end on YouTube in order to do a poll. See live. do this. If I do that, then I can do start a poll. Should I move Okay, that should pop up. Do you have all the originals in case it needs to be re-uploaded? The vast majority, yes. The other half dozen, maybe, I'd have to download from YouTube. Um, so it doesn't show on StreamYard that I'm running a poll. The only way I can see this is on the actual back end. When it looks like everybody is in favor of me moving midweek news to a separate channel. It says 100%, but it doesn't tell me how many people have voted. Yes, likely I would do it as like the Practical IT 2 channel or the Midweek News channel or some such thing. But it would not be on the like-minded channel. I don't think that would be a good fit for over there, or not what I've got planned for it. Okay, I see now it's showing on the back end 4 votes. We've got 10 people watching. Come on, people. You can vote. Do your civic duty to the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. I'm not asking you to subscribe. I'm not asking you to become a member. All you have to do is click a button. Tech News by Practical IT or just Tech News. I think that might already be taken. Yeah. Tech News is taken by a Japanese channel. Okay, we're up to 5 votes. Could do breaking tech news on this other channel. Oh yeah, CrowdStrike Day when I was tied up, stressing the hell out at the library, dealing with that. Okay, we're at 80% in favor and 20% saying no on the poll. But it's only 5 votes, so It does not show who voted for what. All I can see, if I come back here, you'll see what I see. It just says, it tells the number. It doesn't say who voted for what. Oh God, Microsoft Works was awful. My dad insisted on using that for years, and I got tasked with converting all his crap over to Office when Microsoft Works was no longer going to be supported by Microsoft. It was never meant to be a solution to run a business on. But what can you do? What can you do? Still at 5 votes. All right, I'm going to have to put this out as a poll on the community page because 5 votes is not enough to make a good decision from. I was given a secondhand Palm Pilot 3, I think it was. I didn't use it very much. I didn't use it very much. So, I'm going to end this poll. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the poll on the community page. I'm going to make it a little different. I'm going to say, what should I do with midweek news going forward? Kill it. Move it to another channel. Move it to a bi-weekly schedule. Keep it as is. Those are going to be the 4 options. And we'll see. I'll run that for a week. I'll run that until the oh, I didn't post my poll. Why did it not post my poll? Oh, it did post. Okay. All right. So I posted the poll on the community page. Just for the sake of argument, I'll put the community page here. If you want to go over there and vote, please consider doing it. I'll run it until next week's Sunday night stream, at which time I'll end the poll and we will discuss and potentially make a decision. So, um, but I can't see myself doing a cutover if I put it on another channel. If this week's is going to be episode 130, I would want to do it on a after the next 10. So 140 would start over at another channel if that's what the collective decision was. I'm not opposed to keeping it as is if people want to keep it here. I do agree that it would probably be better for the rest of my content on this channel if it were on a different channel. Or the frequency was lowered. So moving to bi-weekly or something along those lines. So anyway, how did you make it to number 1? Because Grish had been number 1 for most of the stream. Oh yeah, I actually use the DOS version of WordPerfect and Lotus 123 and Quattro Pro and DBase 4. So, all right. Sometimes I don't type for a long time and lose my status altogether. Then I type and I become number 1 again. Yeah, WordPerfect I always thought was better than Word. But nice. I know even now WordPerfect is still used in a lot of law offices. So, but hate to do this, guys, but my voice, as you can probably tell, is starting to give out and my glass is empty. So I need to wrap this up. 12 floppy disks to install. My dad briefly used Lotus Smart Suite, which had Ami Pro as the word processor, Lotus 123 as a spreadsheet. I'm not sure what else it had with it. But that was like 35 3.5-inch floppy disks, high density. So I feel your pain on that one. So, all right. On that note, I'm going to wrap this for tonight. My voice can't take anymore, and there's not enough processing I can do to correct this at this point. So, everybody have a good night, and we'll be back on Wednesday.